The wedding is off. Mason stood at the far end of the crimson runner, tuxedo immaculate, voice as calm as if he were commenting on the weather. 300-some guests swiveled toward me in a single, startled wave. I wore a custom wedding gown, a $9,999 bridal bouquet in my hands, 4 hours of makeup on my face, and I was being dumped in front of everyone. "Mason, what did you say?" I thought I'd misheard. I said, "The wedding is off." At his side, my best, Vivian, stepped forward, belly gently rounded, and threaded her arm through his. "Jade, I'm sorry, I'm pregnant." She kept her head down, voice soft and fragile. "The baby's 12 weeks. Mason says he has to take responsibility." I stared at her stomach, then at Mason. He didn't even look at me. "I'll pay back the down payment, $80,000, on an installment plan." I laughed. Behind me, Best appeared without my noticing, his voice low. "Want me to show them what regret looks like?" I pulled off the wedding ring and dropped it. Yes. 5 minutes earlier I had been the happiest bride in the room. The ceremony was at Eastbrook Manor. The site fee alone had cost $150,000. Mom died years ago, Dad's always abroad. I'd planned nearly everything myself. Venue, tastings, gown sketches, handwritten engraved invitations, half a year of my life. Mason had shown up only twice the final week, claiming work overload. "Bride ready?" The makeup artist touched up my lipstick, grinning at my reflection. "Clark has great taste. You're the most beautiful bride I've ever seen." I studied myself, mist gray-colored contacts making my eyes look innocent and bright, lips in classic bridal red. The wedding gown was my own design, sewn by the best atelier in San, $8,000 in labor alone. Everything was perfect. So perfect I believed this would be the luckiest day of my 26 years. "Bride, time to go." A coordinator knocked. I inhaled, gathered the train, and walked out. Sunlight poured through floor-to-ceiling windows at the end of the corridor, golden and dazzling. I stepped into it, feeling like a storybook princess. But at the end of the runner, Mason wasn't looking at me. He stood sideways, whispering tersely with our best, face grim. Julian, Mason's childhood and the only best on the groom's side, was a near stranger to me. I'd met him maybe 3 times, dark suits, few words, eyes sharp. Each time he'd studied me with a gaze that felt less like admiration and more like appraisal, even pity. I'd never liked him. I always sensed he knew something I didn't. Bride approaching, the officiant's announcement hushed the hall. I walked the aisle, every step cushioned by the promise of joy. 3 years. Mason and I had dated 2.5 long distance while I earned my master's in Lakewood. Once a month I'd ridden 4 hours of train to him. He was too busy to travel. His rented room was too small for guests, he said. I understood. When I graduated, landed a job, saved the down payment, and bought the condo, he finally asked, "Let's get married." Only my name went on the deed. "Doesn't matter," he'd said. "What's yours is mine. We're family now." At the time I called it generosity, now I call it stupidity. "Mason, do you take Jade to be your wife?" The officiant's question jerked me back. I lifted my eyes, waiting for "I do." He stayed silent. "Mason?" I whispered. He turned, our gazes locked. A chill slithered down my spine. "The wedding is off." For words, light as swatting a fly. Gasps rippled through the pews. "What's going on?" "The groom's backing out." "Is this a prank?" I stood frozen. "Mason, is this a joke?" I forced a laugh. Pranks at weddings are lame, but I wanted to believe. He didn't smile. His eyes held only irritation. "Jade, you know why." "Know what?" He sighed, annoyed I wouldn't cooperate. "Vivian's pregnant." A bomb detonated in my skull. Vivian. My best. 8 years of friendship, from dorm mates to brunch dates. She was supposed to be my maid. Yesterday she texted, "Stomach bug, can't make it." I wired her $800 for medicine. She replied with a crying emoji, "After your honeymoon, dinner's on me." Now she hovered beside my fiancé, one hand cradling a pronounced curve, the hand clasped with his. "Not food baby round, maternity round." 12 weeks, she murmured, nasal, as though she'd been crying. Jade, I'm sorry, we didn't plan it, but I can't end the pregnancy. Tears rolled, mascara intact, waterproof, the same brand I'd recommended. 300 pairs of eyes bored into us, phones lifted. Someone whispered, scriptwriters couldn't top this. I inhaled. Mason. How long have you two been together? He frowned, unwilling to answer. Vivian supplied, almost a year. It started when he was stressed at work. We talked, then, it just happened, Jade. I'm so sorry. Talked your way into bed? I cut in. She froze, tears falling faster. Jade, don't be like that. How should I be? I stepped closer. I slaved half a year for this day. My maid bails with a text, waltzes in pregnant, and I should applaud. Mason pinched the bridge of his nose. Jade, don't make a scene. You are the scene. I stared into the man I'd loved. 3 years, 2 spent waiting. I'd turned down Dad's matchmaking, declined a design residency abroad, argued with my family, all for him. And he worried about awkward optics. I'll repay the 80,000 down payment, he said. Installments, 5,000 a month for 13 years. Sound fair? I laughed. 80 grand, 500 monthly, 13 years. That was the price tag on my heart. Mason, you're serious? Absolutely. He nodded, righteous. Technically the condo's yours, but legally I could claim a share. I'm choosing not to. Be reasonable. Reasonable. Vivian chimed in, Mason's under huge pressure, Jade. We'll need a new place, a car. Could you please understand? Understand? Finance their happily ever after with my savings? Julian, I said aloud. The hall quieted. The man who'd lingered in the shadows moved to my side, close enough that I caught a hint of pine and cedar. What is it? He asked quietly. Something electric shot through me, relief, rebellion, maybe both. You offered earlier. Does the offer stand? He raised an eyebrow. Which offer? Honestly, I hadn't caught his exact words, only fragments. Regret, show them. You said, let them see what regret looks like. Does that still count? I was past caring about dignity. A flicker of amusement crossed his face. It counts. He pivoted toward the officiant. Continue. A collective choke rippled through the guests. The officiant's microphone squeaked. Mr. Vance. Proceed. Julian's tone left no room for argument. Mason's complexion drained. Julian, what the hell? Plain English, the ceremony finishes, only the groom changes. To me. Mason. Vivian. 300 guests. Silence snapped under a torrent of whispers, best Steele's bride. Did she agree? Even Netflix wouldn't. I tugged Julian's sleeve. What are you doing? Helping. He dipped his head. You want them sorry? Fastest route. We barely know each other, we will. Jade. Mason barreled forward, cheeks purple. Have you lost it? You'd humiliate me in public. I almost pitied him, almost. I'm humiliating you. You dumped me mid-aisle with your pregnant other. But sure, I'm the embarrassment. He sputtered, I had no choice. Vivian's expecting, I have to own up. So own up. What's that got to do with me? You could have broken up privately, now you're using Julian to spite me. I opened my mouth, but Julian answered first. She doesn't need spite. She deserves truth. He slipped a hand into his jacket, producing a slim envelope. 3 years ago you hunted Jade because you learned who her father really is. Allow me to refresh your memory. Mason lunged, but Julian lifted the pages just out of reach. James, birth name Shung Jongwo, renamed when he naturalized overseas. Last year he inherited sterling, shipping, resorts, biotech, $300 billion empire. Jade is his only. His heiress. The hall turned into a vacuum. Phones stopped recording, jaws hung. I felt the floor tilt. Dad, a tycoon? My stomach plummeted somewhere near my crystal heels. Julian's gaze softened when it met mine. 12 years I've watched you fight to stand on your own. Today you don't have to stand alone. He extended his palm, steady, open. Marry me instead. Let them choke on their own greed. My pulse thundered in my ears. Revenge dressed as a wedding vow, tempting, outrageous, maybe suicidal. Across the runner, Mason's eyes bulged, calculations cracking behind them. Vivian's tears dried mid-cheek, replaced by panic. Every instinct screamed, too fast, too crazy. Yet a voice, my own, finally whispered, why not? I'd already hit rock bottom. The only direction left was up, wearing a crown. I slipped my hand into Julian's. His fingers closed, warm, certain. Turning to the officiant, I squared my shoulders. Let's finish this. I stared at Julian, my mind a total blank. My dad, James, is the owner of Sterling? Worth $30 billion? Impossible. I whispered. My dad's just an ordinary businessman. When he wired me living expenses every month, he still told me to save every cent. That was his way of protecting you. Julian's voice suddenly softened. He was afraid you'd be targeted, so he kept you in the dark. Unfortunately, he turned to Mason. Someone still figured it out. Mason's face had already gone white. Julian, what exactly do you want? I told you. Julian spoke word by word. The wedding continues, only the groom changes. Who do you think you are, deciding you're good enough for her? My brain was mush. 30 billion. Sterling. Only. Each phrase detonated inside my skull like a bomb. Every time Dad called he'd say, spend less, money's hard to earn. On my birthday he'd transfer $2,000 and add, Dad's busy, I'll make it up to you later. When I scraped together the down payment for my apartment he said, keep saving, a woman needs her own nest to feel safe. I'd always pictured him as a small-time trader, slaving away at some foreign export workshop. Until this second. Jade. Julian's voice pulled me back. Don't try to process it all now. I'll explain later. What matters right now, he pointed at Mason, is whether you want him to pay. I looked at Mason. His complexion had shifted from pale paper to angry slate. Julian, stop spewing lies. I had no idea who her father was when I chased her. You're slandering me. Julian smiled. Am I? He pulled a phone from his pocket, tapped, and a recording filled the air. Bro, listen. I looked into it. Jade's dad is actually connected to Sterling. You sure? Positive. I've got a buddy at the City Licensing Bureau. He told me James was born Shung Jongwo, a total stealth billionaire. So this chick's worth billions? Exactly. Bro, don't you think I should treat her a little better? Better? You've got to lock her down. Once you do, you'll never worry again. You're right, on my way. The clip ended. The hall fell dead silent. Mason looked like he'd swallowed poison. When was that? 3 years ago. Julian pocketed the phone. The third day you were chasing Jade. You were on the phone with your cousin, and you forgot I was in the next room. Mason's lips trembled, no sound came. 3 years. How had I met Mason again? At a mutual friend's birthday. He asked for my WhatsApp, said he loved my smile. I'd had a few drinks, he saw me to my door and waited until I was inside before he left. Next morning he texted, I couldn't sleep last night, kept thinking about you. I'd thought it was romance. Romance, it turns out, had been arithmetic. Jade. Vivian's voice cut in. Her eyes rimmed red, she looked at me like a wounded doe. Don't listen to Julian's nonsense, Mason truly loves you. He's told me countless times you're the kindest, purest girl he's ever met. He just slipped up with me, Vivian. I cut her off. Do you know what sickens me most? She blinked. It isn't Mason cheating, and it isn't his greed. It's you. I spaced each word. 4 years of college, 1 dorm room. How many essays did I write for you? How many classes did I cover you for? How many guys did I help you chase? After graduation, when you couldn't find a job, I pulled strings to get you into my company. You couldn't pay rent, I lent you money. $3,200, never repaid, never pushed. Vivian's face changed. Jade, I didn't mean to stiff you, I'm broke. I gave a cold laugh. The bag on your arm, this year's release, $1,200. Your earrings, Tiffany's, $680. Those shoes, limited edition, $850. Total? Almost 3 grand. You can't pay your debt, but you can buy couture? Her mouth quivered, she said nothing. More, I stepped closer. You claim 3 months pregnant, belly already showing. Yesterday you went to the hospital for fever meds. Pregnant women don't visit a general clinic for fever, they go straight to maternity. You never set foot in a hospital, did you? I drilled her with my stare. You bailed on purpose. You were scared that when maid and bride stood side by side, someone would notice your bump. Your script required today, in front of everyone, to steal my groom. Vivian's tears gushed. Jade, you've got it wrong. I didn't plan this. I honestly felt awful. Believe me. Believe you. I laughed softly. I believed you for 8 years and you thanked me by sleeping with my boyfriend. The crowd erupted again. 8-year best turned traitor, the gossip juicier than the last twist. I heard murmurs, Vivian's downright vile. 8 years of friendship and she pulls this. She deserves every word. Vivian flushed crimson. She looked to Mason, pleading. Mason gritted his teeth, sucked in a breath. Jade, enough. Whatever happened, Vivian is carrying my baby, you can't humiliate her like that. I'm humiliating her? I found that hilarious. You two turn my wedding into a circus and I'm the villain? Mason, have you no shame? He choked on his retort. Beside me Julian spoke up. Forget these clowns. Jade, answer one question. What? Will you marry me? The hall quieted once more, every head swiveling toward me. I stared at Julian, thoughts ricocheting. Marry him? We were barely acquaintances, probably fewer than 10 encounters, 100 sentences exchanged. I'd figured he was Mason's childhood from some average business family. But I glanced at Mason and Vivian. Mason's face was twisted, eyes darting as he calculated. Vivian sobbed while sneaking peeks at me, waiting to laugh when I faltered. Suddenly letting them win felt worse than jumping into the unknown. Yes, I heard myself say. I will. Have you lost your mind? Mason's roar tore out. He lunged, trying to grab my arm. Julian sidestepped, blocking him neatly. Chill, Mason. She's getting married, not walking the plank. What's your problem? Mason flushed purple. Julian, what are you playing at? Why are you backing her? What is she to you? Julian smiled without answering. He turned to the officiant, voice calm yet carrying a quiet command. Proceed. The officiant flinched, looked at Mason. Mason hissed, don't you dare. Think of your job. Know who my cousin is. I do, Julian said mildly. Wang Jianlin, deputy VP at Tri-River, promoted on nepotism. Last month you nearly drank yourself into a hospital gown trying to impress him at a banquet. Mason paled. How did you? I know plenty. Julian cut him off. Like when you funneled company resources to your cousin's deal and pocketed a 200 grand kickback. Or last year when you borrowed 50 grand from Vivian for stocks, lost it all, and never repaid. Also, he paused, glanced at Vivian. The baby in her belly, father uncertain. Gasps swept the room. Vivian turned ash-white. You liar, she shrieked. That child is Mason's. I haven't slept with anyone else. Julian shrugged. Never said you did. I only said, not certain. After all, Mason always had unexplained fertility issues. Mason looked ready to vomit blood. Julian, I'll kill you. He swung his fist. Several groomsmen wrestled him back. Clark, don't. Not worth it. Cameras everywhere. Mason thrashed, shaking with rage. Julian, this isn't over. You'll regret today. Who do you think you are? A wage slave daring to fight me? I froze. A wage slave. But Julian was Mason's childhood, surely from a business family too. Before I could speak, Julian answered. Wage slave. True, except I'm self-employed. Mason frowned. What do you mean? Julian fished a business card from his pocket, flicked it over. Mason caught it instinctively, glanced down, his hands began to tremble. Color drained from his face like pulled paint. His lips quivered, unable to form a word. Vivance. He finally croaked. Vance Holdings, CEO. Julian's tone stayed level. Julian. Me. Explosion number 2 rocked the hall. Vance. The Vance whose skyscrapers studded skylines, whose tech labs, finance arms, and resorts spread across continents, valued above $200 billion. This quiet childhood buddy tagging along beside Mason all these years was the emperor of that empire. Mason's complexion alternated between mortified crimson and deathly white. Why pretend to be ordinary? Julian supplied the answer. Because it was fun. Watching you posture made good theatre. Mason looked ready to combust. Enough, Julian told the officiant. Continue. This time the man didn't hesitate. Straightening, he asked, "May I have the groom's name, please?" Julian. Very well, Vance. He inhaled deeply, then intoned, "Julian, do you take Jade to be your wife, to love and to cherish, for richer for poorer, in sickness and in health, till death do you part?" "I do." Julian's reply was rock solid, as though rehearsed for years. And Jade, the officiant, faced me. I drew a long breath. I knew how insane this was. I knew impulse made a poor counselor. I knew marrying a near stranger was reckless. But I glanced at Mason, his features contorted while he muttered nonsense. Vivian bawled, makeup streaking into a clown mask. The two people I'd trusted most had turned my life into a joke. Why hand them the satisfaction? "I do," I said. "Wonderful." The officiant's voice quavered, yet he finished the script. "I now pronounce Julian and Jade husband and wife. Groom, you may kiss bride." Applause thundered through the ballroom, astonished guests clapping as if applause could anchor reality. Julian faced me. His gaze had softened. "Hope you don't mind." "Mind what?" Before I could ask, he lowered his head and brushed my forehead, a featherlight, symbolic touch rather than a true kiss. Still, my heart missed a beat. Cheers crescendoed, whistles, shouts of encore. The atmosphere flipped to carnival. Mason and Vivian stood like statues carved from ice, their faces uglier than grief. "Impossible," Mason kept murmuring. "This can't be real, can't be real." Vivian had collapsed to the floor, sobbing into her hands. How did this happen? How? No one moved to comfort either of them. A moment ago, several of Mason's relatives had been standing right there. Now they quietly stepped back. After all, Groom had turned into the CEO of Vance Holdings. Who would dare offend bride? Jade. Julian suddenly spoke, voice low. Your dad's here." I froze, following his gaze. Outside the hotel's main entrance, a man in his 50s strode in. Dark trench coat, salt and pepper hair, drawn and haggard face. It was my dad. James. My chest tightened. Wasn't he overseas? How? I had someone notify him, Julian said. He took the red eye back. I opened my mouth, but no words came. Dad was already in front of me. He looked at me, eyes rimmed red. Jade. My nose stung. 3 years. An entire 3 years since I'd seen him. Every call had been rushed, cut short after a few sentences. I told myself he was busy, too busy to see his daughter. Looking back, maybe he was hiding. Hiding so I wouldn't discover who he really was. Dad. My voice cracked. Those things, are they true? He was silent for a moment. Then nodded. They're true. Sterling was left by your grandfather. After your mom died, I wanted to protect you, keep you away from the mess. So I changed my name, sent you to a regular school, let you live an ordinary life. I thought you'd be happier that way. I'm sorry, Jade. My tears finally fell. But you know what? I thought you didn't love me. Every time I said I missed you, you brushed me off. Every time I asked to see you, you said you had no time. I thought you didn't want me anymore. I thought you'd started a new family and forgotten your daughter. I was out there alone, earning my own money, buying my own condo, supporting myself. I thought I was the one who'd been abandoned. The more I spoke, the more agitated I grew. 3 years of grievances surged up at once. Dad's eyes reddened too. I'm sorry. He reached out to hug me, then pulled back. It's Dad's fault. I was a coward. Julian said quietly, Uncle, this isn't the place. Let's go to the lounge, talk later. Dad nodded, glancing at me. Jade, Dad's not leaving. From now on, Dad's staying with you. I pressed my lips together, saying nothing. But the tears came faster. Just then an ugly voice cut in, "Hold it." I turned. Mason had gotten to his feet at some point, face twisted. He pointed at my dad, voice shaking. "You're the owner of Sterling?" Dad frowned at him, silent. "Ha, ha ha." Mason laughed, manic. "Great, just great. I schemed for 3 years and end up with nothing. Ridiculous. Hilarious." He spun toward me. "Jade, think you've won? You believe marrying Julian will make you happy? Well, let me tell you, he's after something too." The hall went dead quiet. I frowned at Julian. His expression didn't change, he simply looked at Mason. "Finished?" Mason gritted his teeth. "Don't play dumb. Vance and Sterling have deals. You've had your eye on Jade for ages. You want Sterling's assets through her. You're no different from me." Julian smiled. "Different? The difference is, I'd never betray her." His voice was soft, but every word rang clear. "I met her when I was 15. She was still in middle school, ponytail, backpack, heading to class every morning. She didn't know who I was, and I didn't tell her. I watched her grow up, high school, college, grad school. I watched her fight alone out there, carrying every hardship. I waited 11 years. Not a sound in the room. I stared at Julian, wide-eyed. 11 years. He said he'd waited 11 years. But I had no memory of him at all. "You wouldn't remember me," Julian added, calm. "I was just a guy in the next class. Every morning I'd wait at the crossing for your school bus to pass, content with one glimpse. When you left town for college, I asked around about you. I knew you were dating someone called Mason. I looked into him, he wasn't decent. But you were happy, so I didn't interfere." He paused. "Until 3 years ago, when I uncovered his real motive. That recording was made then. I wanted to tell you outright, but I was afraid you wouldn't believe me. So I waited. Waited for the right moment." He met my eyes, gentler than I'd ever seen. "Today is that moment." I stood rooted, mind reeling. 11 years. From 15 to 26, middle school to now. Fuzzy images surfaced, back then, every morning at the bus stop. There had been a boy across from the milk tea shop, wearing a different school's uniform. Sometimes holding a hot cup, sometimes empty-handed. I'd never paid attention. Never knew who he was. "So." My voice came out hoarse. "You've known me all this time, yet you never said a word." Julian was quiet for a moment. "Because I didn't want to pressure you. I know you hate being watched, hate feeling caged. If I'd told you, you might have avoided me." The corner of his mouth lifted. "I'd rather be a stranger to you than lose the chance to see you from afar." A pang shot through my chest. So someone had been quietly there all along. When I thought I was utterly alone, someone's gaze never left me. "Enough, enough." Mason's voice shattered the moment. His face was contorted like a cornered beast. "Putting on a show, huh? You two set me up. Julian, just you wait. Think being Vance CEO lets you do whatever you want? Well, my cousin Jenlyn at Tri-River Estate will run you out of this city." Julian raised an eyebrow. "Oh, are you sure?" He pulled out his phone and dialed. "Hello, Jenlyn? Julian here. About Tri-River's joint project with Wanda, still interested?" Loud chatter crackled through, then an anxious male voice. "President Vance. Calling personally. What can I do for you?" "Nothing much," Julian drawled. "Just letting you know your cousin Mason is making a scene here. His, annoying. Handle it." He hung up. Mason's face drained of color. You. His lips trembled, no coherent word came out. Within 30 seconds his own phone rang. He answered instinctively, and his expression collapsed. "Cousin. I understand. No, listen," his voice shrank to a plea. Cousin. The line was dead. Mason stared at the screen, body deflated. "I'm finished," he mumbled. "All over." Vivian was still crouched on the floor, bawling. "Mason, what do we do?" No one paid her any mind. I looked at the two of them, oddly calm. 3 years. I'd traded 3 years of youth and trust for this ending. They'd betrayed me, used me as their stepping stone. Now it was their turn to swallow the consequences. Mason. I spoke. He lifted his head, terror in his eyes. What? The 80,000 down payment. I enunciated every word. No installments. Pay it in full within 3 days. Or my lawyer contacts you. His face went even paler. 3 days. 80 grand? Where am I supposed to get that? That's your problem. I turned, looped my arm through Julian's. Let's go. Julian glanced down at me, amusement tugging at his lips. Sure you don't want to say more? Maybe make him kneel and apologize. I shook my head. Not necessary. The way he looks right now is apology enough. We walked out together. Behind us Mason roared, Jade. You'll regret this. Julian can't possibly love you for real. He's just using you. Just wait. One day you'll come crawling back. I didn't look back. Neither did Julian. At the doorway Dad caught up. Jade, you're really going to? He eyed Julian, hesitating. Julian spoke first. Uncle, I know you have questions. After the wedding I'll come to your door and explain everything. Let Jade rest today. Dad was silent, then finally nodded. All right. But promise me you won't hurt her. Julian smiled. I waited 11 years just to stand beside her. Hurt her? I couldn't bear to. And so the wedding ended in high drama. 300 guests had front row seats to the spectacle, enough gossip fuel for 6 months. As for Mason and Vivian, word was security threw them out. Mason's cousin Jenlyn personally called to apologize and vowed to educate him. Vivian's parents rushed over and slapped her twice in front of everyone. 8 years as best and you sleep with her boyfriend, how could you? You've disgraced the Lane family. Vivian sobbed her innocence, but no one listened. And me, I sat in the hotel lounge, dazed. Julian sat opposite, watching quietly. What are you thinking? I snapped out of it. Just, how fast it all went. 2 hours ago I thought today would be the happiest of my life. And now? I glanced at the wedding band on my finger, simple platinum, slipped on by Julian moments ago. I've married a man I barely know. Julian chuckled. Pretty fast, I admit. But some things lose meaning if you wait too long. He pulled a small box from his pocket and handed it to me. Was going to save it for a proper proposal. Since we're already married, you might as well have it now. I took the box and opened it, a ring. Far more delicate than the one I wore. At its center a pale pink diamond, perfectly cut, glowing softly under the lights. This pink diamond, Julian said. Bought it at auction 5 years ago. Thought maybe, one day, I could give it to you. I stared at the ring, speechless. 5 years ago. I was still dating Mason, convinced he was my destiny. And Julian was already buying gifts for me. Are you an idiot? I blurted. You waited 11 years, what if I'd ignored you forever? He tilted his head, thoughtful. Then I'd have waited forever. Got to pass the time somehow. I was at a loss for words. Yet a warm feeling bubbled up inside. Someone willing to wait 11 years. Someone content to watch over me, asking nothing in return. It felt nice. I cleared my throat. Even though we're married, I need time to adjust. We barely know each other. Julian nodded. I understand. We'll take it slow, no rush. He paused. You take the master bedroom tonight, I'll take the guest room. Same from now on, until you're ready. I blinked. You don't mind? Why would I? He looked completely matter-of-fact. I waited 11 years, a few more days is nothing. Besides, he leaned in, lowering his voice. After chasing you this long, having you pounce on me in the end, wouldn't that be more satisfying? My face flamed red. You shameless, he ducked away, laughing. All right, I'm shameless. But you look adorable when you blush. I gave up. This man, cool and aloof on the surface, was actually a rogue. The next few days unfolded more smoothly than I'd imagined. Mason really did pay back the 800 grand in 3 days. I heard he sold his car, mortgaged his condo, and hit up every relative for a loan. Vivian had a screaming fight with him, swore she'd get rid of the baby and break up. Mason smashed his phone and called her a wind vane. They flung accusations until neither could stand the sight of the other. Serves them right. That was my first reaction when the news reached me. Julian watched me and smiled. Feel better? Much better. I nodded. But it's not enough. He raised an eyebrow. What else do you want? I thought for a moment. Mason didn't just waste my feelings these past 3 years. He also used my network to climb the ladder. My old boss was friends with my mentor, only because of me did he take Mason under his wing. Now, it's time to take it all back. Julian looked at me, admiration in his eyes. No problem. Need my help? No. I shook my head. I'll handle this myself. He said nothing, just gave a small nod. The next day I invited my former boss to dinner. I laid out everything Mason had done in those 3 years, how he'd ridden my coattails upward, how he'd badmouthed my boss behind his back, how he'd funneled company resources to his cousin. I had recordings, chat logs, wire transfers. Every piece of evidence had been saved casually along the way. Back then I'd thought it was trust, now I knew it was insurance. That punk. My ex-boss's face darkened. I actually thought he had talent, turns out he's a backstabber. Jade, thanks for letting me know. I smiled. Happy to. You've always looked out for me, I couldn't let you stay in the dark. I'll deal with him. He slapped the table. You can count on it. A week later Mason was fired. The official reason: serious violation of company policy, using his position for personal gain. His cousin Jenlin was dragged into the investigation, and Tri-River's stock dropped 15%. As for Vivian, she really did terminate the pregnancy. Not because she and Mason split, but because doctors found the fetus wasn't developing properly. Word was she sobbed the whole day in the hospital. Mason never went to see her. Karma, Julian said. I said nothing. Honestly, when I heard about Vivian, a twinge of sadness surfaced. We'd been friends 8 years, we'd once been inseparable. But the sadness was quickly swallowed by anger. When she betrayed me, did she ever think how hurt I'd be? When she got together with Mason, did she consider my feelings? No. Never. So everything she was suffering now was her own choice. Jade. Julian's voice pulled me back. Penny for your thoughts. I snapped out of it and realized I was zoning out on the balcony. The sunset had painted the sky tangerine. Beautiful. Thinking about Vivian. I said. You still care? Julian came over and stood beside me. Not care, I said, shaking my head. Just wondering how it came to this. 8 years of friendship, gone overnight. Was I not good enough? Julian was quiet for a moment. You can't change some people's nature. She chose to betray you, that's on her. You did more than enough. He paused. Don't shoulder other people's mistakes. I looked at him, suddenly overwhelmed. This man always knew what to say. Julian. Thank you. He blinked, then smiled. No need, we're husband and wife. Husband and wife. I still wasn't used to the title. But I had to admit, being with him felt more secure than the entire 3 years with Mason. Maybe this really was destiny. Days drifted by like this. Our married life was stranger than I'd expected. Technically spouses, we felt more like roommates. He left early and came back late, buried in company work. I kept my design job, sketching and stitching as always. We occasionally shared dinner, chatted, then retreated to separate bedrooms. He kept his word, never crossed a line. Sometimes I even wondered, does he actually love me? Jade, what's on your mind? A colleague's voice yanked me back. Nothing. I refocused on the monitor. Just zoned out. She leaned in, eyes sparkling with gossip. Thinking about your husband, huh? Cut it out. I'm serious. She dropped her voice. They say your husband is the CEO of Vance, worth $100 billion. Why are you still working? I gave her a look. What's wrong with working? Marrying rich doesn't cancel my career, does it? She shook her head. If it were me, I'd quit and live the life: shopping, spas, world tours. Dream come true. I smiled but didn't answer. She wasn't exactly wrong. Given Julian's fortune, I could have stopped working. But I didn't want to. I love designing, love turning ideas into dresses you can touch. That thrill can't be bought. Besides, money I earn myself feels safer in my hands. Jade, someone's here for you, reception called. I glanced up and froze. Standing by the door was Vivian. She'd lost weight, face pale, dark circles under her eyes. She looked haggard. The office fell silent. Everyone knew our story. The wedding fiasco had made the rounds. Jade. Her voice was hoarse. Can we talk alone? I stared at her for a few seconds, then stood. Break room. Break room. I poured her a cup of water and pushed it across the table. She didn't drink, just stared at the floor. What do you want? My tone was flat. Jade, I came to apologize. She finally lifted her head, eyes rimmed red. I know I wronged you. I shouldn't have been with Mason, shouldn't have lied, shouldn't have done what I did at your wedding. I was selfish. I'm sorry. Tears rolled down her cheeks. Can you forgive me? I looked at her. Those tears looked genuine, just like every time we'd fought in college. She'd cry, I'd soften, we'd make up. But this time, no. I said. Her tears paused. What? I don't forgive you. Word by word. Jade, I truly know I was wrong. Knowing you were wrong, then what? I cut her off. Does that bring back the 3 years I lost? Does it erase the pain of betrayal? Does it undo the public humiliation? She opened her mouth, speechless. Vivian, do you know what I hate most? It's not that you slept with Mason. It's that you knew exactly how much I trusted you and still chose to hurt me. 8 years. We were friends 8 years. I treated you like a sister, told you everything. And you sneaked around with my boyfriend and tried to steal him at my wedding. How am I supposed to forgive that? Vivian's tears fell faster. Jade, I really didn't mean for it to happen. Mason came on to me first. So what? I gave a cold laugh. He pursued you, so you had to say yes. He was your best's boyfriend, did that slip your mind? He wanted to sleep with you, so you couldn't refuse. She had no answer. Vivian, are you here today because you're actually sorry? I studied her. Or because Mason dumped you, your parents kicked you out, you're broken homeless, and you figured you'd crawl back to me? Her face went white. I heard. My voice was icy. After Mason was fired, he blamed everything on you. Said you seduced him, ruined his career. Your parents disowned you. No job, no money, nowhere to live. So you came looking for me, right? Vivian's whole body trembled, tears streaming, still wordless. Leave. I stood. I won't forgive you. But I won't kick you when you're down either. The $3,200 you once borrowed, consider it a gift. From here on, you're on your own. I walked out without looking back. Her sobs echoed behind me, loud and desperate. I didn't turn around. Coming out of the break room, I felt awful. Even though I'd rejected Vivian, a weight pressed on my chest. 8 years of friendship, gone. Saying it didn't hurt would be a lie. Jade. A familiar voice. I looked up. Julian stood at the entrance in a dark suit, a bouquet in hand. What are you doing here? I was startled. He's usually swamped, he rarely picks me up. Your coworker texted me, said you were upset. He handed me the flowers. Came to check. It was a cluster of white roses, fresh and clean. Who told you? Those nosy angels by the window. He tilted his head toward the office. I glanced over, several colleagues were plastered to the glass, giving me thumbs-ups. Speechless. They said Vivian paid a visit. His tone stayed calm. What did she want? Nothing. I shook my head. Came to say sorry. I didn't buy it. He nodded, asked nothing more, just took my hand. Let's go. I've got a place for you. Where? You'll see. 40 minutes later we were on a hill outside the city. A clearing at the summit overlooked Eastbrook's night skyline. Gorgeous. Julian spread a blanket on the ground and pulled a bottle of Red Plus 2 glasses from the car. Sit. I was baffled. What's going on? Our first date. He said it like a business decision. We've been married almost a month and never officially dated. Tonight we fix that. Me, was this guy for real? I sat anyway. He poured, passed me a glass. A toast to our first date. I clinked his glass lightly. The wine was dry at first, then sweet on the finish. Like, what are you thinking? Julian's voice interrupted. That the wine tastes like us. I said. Bitter up front, but sweeter the longer you sip. He blinked, then grinned. Is that a compliment? Interpret it however you want. I looked away, ears burning. Jade. His tone turned serious. Yeah. I know we started weird. You got jilted, I swooped in, whole thing was rushed. You might suspect ulterior motives, think it's insane. But listen, he faced me, eyes steady. I'm genuinely in love with you. From the day we were 15 until now, unwavering. Believe me or not, I'll spend my life proving it. My heart skipped. The night breeze was cool, but my cheeks flamed. Julian. You said you waited 11 years. Yeah. Ever regret it? He considered. Yes. My heart sank. When? Every time I saw you with Mason. His voice stayed level, but I caught the ache behind it. I'd think if I'd been braver, spoken up sooner, maybe the wait would have been shorter. Maybe you'd have been spared all that hurt. That's my only regret. I stared at him. Turned out he didn't regret the waiting. He regretted not stepping in earlier to protect me. Julian. Thank you. For what? For waiting. I met his gaze. For showing up when I was a mess. For giving me a fresh start. He smiled, brighter than I'd ever seen. Don't mention it. That's what I'm here for. Then he leaned in and brushed the gentlest kiss on my forehead. Just like at the wedding. This time, I didn't pull away. We talked for a long time that night. About his past, about my past, about the 11 years we'd missed. Only then did I learn he'd been watching me all along. In high school, when I won first place in the speech contest, he was in the audience. In college, when my senior project earned an honorable mention, he had someone cast a vote for me. In grad school, when I was hospitalized, he sent flowers under the name Junior. That bouquet, I'd always assumed it came from some random admirer. I never imagined it was him. You creep. I couldn't help blurting it out. You've stalked me for years and never let me know. He shrugged. When you like someone, you want to know everything about her. That's normal, right? I had no comeback. It actually sounded pretty normal. After that night, things between us shifted. We were no longer polite roommates but a real couple. He started making breakfast and waking me up. He'd bring late-night snacks to the office when I worked overtime. When I was in a bad mood, he'd stay by my side, no questions asked. And I got used to his presence. Used to seeing his back busy in the kitchen every morning. Used to hearing good night from him each evening. Used to being cherished. Jade, what are you smiling at? Julian's voice cut through my thoughts. Nothing. I schooled my face. I just think, life is pretty good. He raised an eyebrow. Better than when you were with Mason? Can you not bring him up? Fine, fine. Grinning, he ruffled my hair. What do you feel like eating tonight? Whatever. Hot pot. Sure. Days passed, plain yet blissful. Until, a month later, Mason showed up again. I was working late when my phone rang. It was Mason. Jade. His voice was hoarse. Can you meet me? I frowned. What for? Please, just once. Just once. He sounded desperate. I was about to hang up. But something in his tone suggested real trouble. I hesitated, then agreed. Half an hour, the cafe under my office. Half an hour only. I arrived 20 minutes later. Mason was already inside. Hunched in a corner, he looked wrecked. Wrinkled clothes, messy hair, stubble all over his chin. A far cry from the triumphant groom of 1 month ago. Jade. He lifted his head, eyes bloodshot. Thanks for coming. I sat opposite him, calm. Speak. He was quiet for a moment. I'm finished. His voice shook. Lost my job, house foreclosed, cousin won't help, family cut me off. I have nothing now. I watched him, saying nothing. It's all my fault. He suddenly met my gaze, full of regret. I shouldn't have lied, shouldn't have been with Vivian, shouldn't have treated you like that at our wedding. Jade, I was wrong. Please, give me a chance. I frowned. What kind of chance? Let me win you back. He said. I know you're with Julian now, but he only wants you for your status. Only I truly loved you. Jade, come back to me. I froze for a second. Then, I laughed. A genuine, mocking laugh. Mason, do you hear yourself? My tone was icy. A month ago you dumped me at the altar for Vivian. Now she's done with you, so you run back to me? What am I, your backup? His face paled. No. Jade, I really regret it. Regret? I cut him off. What exactly do you regret? Dumping me? Or dumping my money? His mouth opened, no words came. Let me tell you, Mason. I spoke each word clearly. Even if every man on earth dropped dead, I still wouldn't be with you. You're not worthy anymore. His face flushed crimson. Jade. Don't push it. I only made one mistake, do you have to be this cruel? One mistake. I sneered. You lied for 3 years, used my network to climb, and publicly humiliated me at our wedding. That's one mistake. Mason, where's your shame? He was speechless. I stood, looking down at him. One last warning. Don't come near me again. Next time, I'll show you real regret. I turned to leave. As I reached the door, he shouted, Jade. You'll regret this. Julian doesn't truly love you. Just wait. I didn't look back. The moment I pushed the door open, I saw Julian's car at the curb. He leaned against the door, holding a hot cup of bubble tea. All done? He asked. All done. I walked over and took the drink. How did you know I was here? Your colleague tipped me off. He smiled. Said Mason came sniffing around, told me to hurry. My co-workers were way too invested in my drama. What did he want? Julian asked. Nothing. I shook my head. Came to beg for forgiveness. And you said? His tone was calm, but I caught the tension underneath. What do you think? I studied him. I think, no. He paused. But I wanted to hear you say it. I smiled. Julian. I told you, I won't let him have his way. Not now, not ever. He blinked, then smiled, relief written all over his face. Good, he said. I believe you. I thought Mason was history. At least I hoped so. 3 days later, gossip exploded at the office. Someone posted online claiming I'd slept my way up, attaching so-called photo proof. The images were poorly photoshopped, obviously fake. But netizens don't care about truth, only drama. Vicious comments poured in. Another babe who screwed her way to the top. Thought marrying rich would whitewash her? Ha! Women like her deserve social death. I read until my hands shook. It was Mason. Julian's voice came from behind. He stepped forward and slipped the phone from my grip. Don't look. How could he? My voice cracked. He ruined my wedding, now he smears me online? Julian said nothing, just pulled me into a hug. Don't be angry. His voice was soft. Leave it to me. The next day, tables turned. Netizens traced the post's IP to Mason's phone. Then his dirt got excavated: embezzlement, serial cheating, betraying his fiancée, slander, item after item, juicier than his own rumors. Public opinion flipped overnight. So the ex-boyfriend cooked this up. What a scumbag. Disgusting. His trash yet points fingers. Hope he gets jail time. Experts also debunked the photos as fakes. People apologized, turned their wrath on Mason. In one night he went from righteous whistleblower to malicious defamer. Your handiwork? I asked Julian. More or less? He shrugged. He wanted a media war, so I obliged. My tactic is simpler, truth beats lies. Staring at him, I felt a rush of emotion, gratitude, luck, a twinge of heartache. Julian. Thank you. Again. He laughed. How many times must I say it, we're married? It's my job. 3 days later Mason was detained for defamation. They say he sobbed like a child at the station, claiming he was cornered, that he'd lost control. No one pitied him. He chose the path, he walks it to the end. Jade. Julian's voice pulled me back. It's over. He looked at me gently. From now on, let's live our life, okay? I gazed at him, eyes stinging. 3 years of feelings, a farcical wedding, a roller coaster month. Finally, truly, over. Okay. I said. Let's live our life. 1 year later, Julian and I held a real wedding. No stunts, no betrayal, no soap opera twists. Just the two of us, surrounded by family and friends who truly wished us well. I wore a gown I designed myself, even more beautiful than last year's. Julian wore a bespoke tux, so handsome I barely recognized him. You look different today, I said. Different how? He teased. Hotter than usual. He grinned. That's the gorgeous woman beside me boosting my stock. Sweet talker. Naturally. He leaned to my ear. Took 12 years to win my wife, I'd better stay sweet. My face burned. The man still flirted like a pro. The ceremony was small, just a few dozen guests. But every blessing was sincere. My dad sat in the front row, eyes red, dabbing with tissues. He said the proudest thing in his life was having me for a daughter. I almost cried. Finally the officiant asked the big question, Jade, do you take Julian to be your husband? I looked at Julian. He looked at me, warm and expectant. I do. This time, from the bottom of my heart. After the reception we flew off for our honeymoon. On a Maldivian beach I asked Julian, what if I'd refused to marry you back then? He thought about it. Kept waiting. Until when? Until you said yes. I rolled my eyes. What if I never had? Then I'd wait forever. He said it lightly. You're the only one I'll ever love. Warmth flooded me. 12 years. From 15 to 27. He waited 12 years. I never believed in true love, sounded like kids' fairy tales. Now I do. Julian. You're the only one I'll ever love, too. He blinked, then smiled. Is that a confession? Take it however you like. I'll take it as a proposal acceptance. He kissed me softly. Accepted. Sea breeze carried the scent of salt. Sunset painted the ocean gold. I leaned on his shoulder, gazing at the horizon. At this moment, I knew I was the happiest woman alive. The wounds, betrayals, tears had all become nutrients for this happiness. Every stumble had led me to the right person. I'm so grateful that in the second the world abandoned me, he stepped forward. Julian, my husband, my love, the rest of my life. Thank you for waiting so long. From now on, it's my turn to protect you. Thanks for listening to our story today. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate it? If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with friends. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe for more wonderful stories. See you next time.